I'm dishing with musicians. I'm dishing with musicians. A talk show about history. I'm dishing with musicians. I'm dishing with musicians. Let's take a stroll down music history. Oh my, hi everybody. Happy Friday afternoon. I hope you can hear me okay. We got some folks joining. This is wonderful. My daughter's trying to talk to me over here. What do you need, honey? Oh, really? 15,000? Roll with it. That's right. She's buying and selling stocks these days. What did you need?
So Jackson wants to go find Hudson, and there's these kids named Henry and Jack on this block.
Perfect.
And he went in their house to go play.
Okay, then you could. We're double dutying. It's summertime. I'm fathering at home. Just be careful, whatever you do.
Can I go in the living house?
Sure. Okay, well, here we are, folks. This is live on the air, and we're doing what we can do. We have a very special guest today, Mr. Tom Ficke's joining us. This is incredible. The history ingrained into this human being is very, very fun. I recently got to know him very well, and we talked his life, we talked his history, and man almighty, this is just going to be super duper fun for you guys, and I'm extremely excited. This is going to be awesome. So, yeah, and guess what? This is Dishin with Musicians, episode 7. This is episode 7. We've done 7 of these, so I implore you to go back and check out some of the other interviews. There's been some really fun stuff happen and stories that kind of connect this, I guess, this quilt of what we call Nebraska music. And it's just beautiful. It's all coming together, and a lot more stuff makes sense when I start piecing together who's played with who knows who, what the scene was like in the 70s, 80s, 90s, all into the 2000s. And it's just an awesome experience to really dig in deep with some of these really cool musicians. So sit back, and I hope you're having a lovely Friday afternoon. And if you're at work, turn it louder because you're almost off, and enjoy this awesome interview we're about to do. So without further ado, I'm going to invite Mr. Tom Ficke on. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is. Hi, Tom.
Hello.
How's it going, man?
It's going great, man.
Good.
Thanks for having me on.
Man, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. And I appreciate you being on. This is, we've been talking about it for a while and finally made it happen. I know you're a busy guy. And of course,
I'm a pleasure. And
I always have my fingers in a lot of different unique aspects and projects of the community. So I appreciate you doing this.
We appreciate everything you do, Mike. It's just amazing.
Awesome. So. Well, I appreciate that. It's my pleasure. And man, I don't even know where to start. You know, some guys like you, I get them on here and I just go, where do we start? It's unbelievable, the history. Wow. I mean, yeah, it's really cool, man. And I've known you for a while, but we didn't really know each other. And like, I knew your music and I knew that you played out and you did a lot of stuff in the community. And it's one of those things that, we just crossed paths at a gas station one day. And I was like, Oh my God, man, how you doing? And it's one of those weird moments where you're like, we've been Facebook friends for probably 2 or 3 years and we've never talked. So yeah,
wow,
one of those things.
Yes, that's right. It's crazy. It really is. And, I'm kind of like you, Mike. I come from a real musical family.
Yes.
And we all played different instruments. And
right.
my mom was a music teacher and a piano teacher. And she ended up teaching from home and had her own business and really did well. And so I got to learn a little piano at a young age. And I had 2 other older brothers and a sister, and we were all very musical and sang a lot. And I think we got our music definitely from our mom, and
Nice. Well, that's a blessing, man. And I tell you, before I forget, I do want to say this show is sponsored by the Nebraska Performing Arts Hall of Fame. So none of this would be possible without their support and your support as people out there able to donate like $5-10, whatever you can do. So I'm going to put up a little banner on the bottom, and I don't want to interrupt Tom, but at the same time, these are important things so we can keep doing shows. We've got a live induction show coming up on July 17th out at the Playmore Ballroom. So that's with John Walker, Sour Mash, and a bunch of other really cool inductees. So, these are the cool things we're doing with this Hall of Fame thing. So I'm really excited to be a part of it. But so you're lucky enough to come from a musical family. And what was your earliest memory of music? Do you have one?
I almost forgot. Oh, you're going to love this, Mike. I was trying to think of the first song I ever wrote.
Oh, wow.
And it's pretty funny, and it may not be perfect, but it's short, and it went something like this. And I think I was maybe 7, but it went something like, "My name is Tom Ficke. I love to ride my bike. I ride it up and down the street. We put cards in our spokes and numbers on our shirts. My brother thinks he's really neat. I am the King Kong of ping pong. Everybody knows that, except my friend Pat, who thinks he's big man, the person I can really frap."
Oh my God.
Now there's a word that dates me. Now, I mean, that is an old word. I don't think any of our listeners have even heard the word I'm going to frap you, man.
I'm going to frap you. Wow. Is that literally like the motion, like how it sounds? You're just going to smack them?
Well,
I don't even know that word.
It was kind of like, I'm going to win, I'm going to beat you kind of a deal. Maybe. I guess that's kind of what I meant. But.
Yeah, to bind somebody. So the actual definition is to bind something tightly. An attempt to frap the ship by passing cables under the hull. That's interesting. Funny. So it's probably just like slang.
Right. Slang for an old 50s or 60s word that I picked up in the late 60s, early 70s. And
totally. That's hilarious, man. Oh my God. So that's the very first song. And so you're talking about like 70s probably at this point, early
70s. Yep.
Okay. Right on. So, I mean, that sounds like a pretty complex, for the most part, you knew how to rhyme. So somebody taught you something before that.
Yeah. I think it all kind of came natural to all of us. I think we all had pretty good pitch, and we were all real creative. My mom was kind of the driving force on that. And, one really neat thing that happened right about that age. Our neighbors across the street, the Pershings,
it's a big name in Lincoln.
Yeah, no kidding. Mrs. Pershing was looking for a group of kids for a kids show for PBS. Oh, wow. And I auditioned, and I was chosen to do it. And, for the life of me, I don't know what it was called, and I don't have any tapes of that. I have records of pretty much everything else, but that was a really fun experience. There was maybe 8 of us or so, and we would get together. I mean, it was a pretty big deal. We'd meet at like Pioneers Park,
really,
Children's Zoo, and we would dance and sing and do little skits and run around. And
so was it like the Bozo show or
it was almost kind of like that in a way.
Okay. Yeah.
But it was almost like Zoom at an early, in its early beginnings. Really, I mean, it was pretty high tech and professionally done, and
awesome.
So that about. So
that's incredible, man. So that kind of fell into your lap because she was your neighbor.
Right. Exactly.
That's interesting. Okay. And then what part of town did you grow up? I'm curious. In Lincoln, Nebraska.
I'm so glad you asked. It was on South 36th Street, about 36th and South, maybe a block or two from the junior golf course.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I
Sure.
spent a lot of time at the junior golf course.
Oh, wow.
And and the guy who ran the pro shop, his name was Jim Koch, and he had this like afro crazy hairstyle. And he was so cool, and he drove this green Camaro, and he was kind of my buddy. I used to go watch him play baseball or softball. I can't remember which one, but he had this green Camaro. He'd give me rides in it, and this thing was really jacked up. And and one day he was like, Tom, I want you to hear this. I'm like, okay. And he pops in an 8-track of Smoke on the Water.
Oh, wow.
Dun, dun, dun. And just, he's got the speakers, and we're driving, listening to this. And it was kind of a shock for me, but that was kind of an early kind of where the goosebumps just kind of arise.
Man. Well, that song for a lot of guitar players is usually the first thing they ever learn. My daughter knows that on ukulele. She always plays it for me. And my son knows it on guitar because I showed him both. And that's usually like traditionally. It's funny. That was the first thing you heard. That's really interesting.
Yes.
Wow. That's very cool. Yeah. So that era was like really amazing rock coming out of that era. So that probably, how old were you at this point?
Now we're getting to be 8, 9, 10. And then I started, one of my brothers really got me into a lot of soft rock, a lot of, other stuff like America, Bread,
nice,
Gordon Lightfoot, John Denver, just a lot of, so he got me playing the acoustic guitar a little bit. Nice. And his name is John. And so John and I took acoustic guitar lessons from Paul Berner.
Oh, wow.
Who the great Paul Berner. And that was in the old Thompson Music Building on North 48th.
Cool.
So that's a great, we'd go up.
I didn't know Paul taught guitar lessons, man. That's really cool. I love Paul. Paul's a great dude. He
played in a band called Fragile, if I'm not mistaken. That would be a great guy to talk to, my friend. Mm-hmm. He's the rock star. They did a show at Pinewood Bowl. Man, I don't know if there's any recordings or anything from that.
I'll have to ask him about that. Yeah, and that's of course Paul Berner from the Wheeze Tones, I would imagine. Yes, it is, of course. Just to make sure there was not another Paul we're talking about. But that's incredible, man. So you mentioned because I'm such a history buff and these weird 6 degrees of separation with Nebraska. You mentioned a band called America. Yes. Did you know? Here's a little bit of did you know? Ryland Steen, a kid out of Nebraska, plays drums for America right now.
Really?
Yeah, and his dad, I believe, is Dave Steen. He's a great songwriter. He writes for Coco Montoya and all kinds of great.
We got to mark that down in the back of your mind, Dave Steen, because we'll circle around back to him. Do I have a story for you?
Awesome, man. I just, funny enough, I'd never met Dave, and he. I was in Lefty's the other day, which is a local, for those that don't know, a local Lincoln record store on South Street, and it's an awesome place. Les runs it.
Yep,
and giving them a big shout out here. But Dave was in there buying records, and I turned around and I was like, "Hey, Steen, I know that name. Are you Mr. Steen?" And he's like, "Oh yeah." And we started talking about his family and his kids and they, man almighty, both of his kids are drummers and they play professionally with huge names. And so, just amazing stuff. He's played with all kinds of killer bands over the years.
Oh, so anyway, man,
I digress.
I was just going to say right about that time to 10, 11 years old, before I started playing the acoustic, this is great. I got the classic Marantz receiver.
Oh, yeah.
The Marantz speakers for my room. And, that was a big deal. And I started to really build my record collection and vinyl. had a lot of 45s but my brother 45s. and then my other brother, Jerry, my oldest brother, was the drummer of the family.
Okay.
And so there was, I had drums to play on, from 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And he taught me how to play. And he did really well with his drumming and got to go to Europe with the Lincoln Youth Symphony. And
oh, cool.
And he later got to how plumbers and he was part of the union, music union at the time.
Oh, really? So, I've been talking a lot about this lately. That's interesting.
That cool.
Do you know anything about that? Like, how long was it around? And
boy, I don't know, Mike. That'd be a good thing.
If anybody out there is watching or listening and knows anything about the union, please comment in. There's so many people that have been asking me about that lately, and I know there's a music union in Omaha, but I don't know if there's a music union in Lincoln still. Not that I'm aware of. So,
wow.
But anyway, those did start for a good reason. I've heard good and bad things about them, so I'm curious to find out more info. But yeah, that's interesting. So your brother was in the union,
right? And so he, one of my early concert, memories was Jerry taking me to a Maynard Ferguson concert in Omaha, the famous late trumpet player.
Oh yeah.
He's known for his screeching high notes. He did the Rocky theme, of course. And
oh wow, I didn't know that.
So that was so cool to watch them live. His band, they were all dressed in black. And here comes Maynard in this cool, multicolored, groovy outfit. And he's just being the coolest, and it was incredible. So I got kind of a nice amazing mixture of some soft rock, some country.
It was the Gonna Fly. Yeah, it was the Gonna Fly Now.
Gonna Fly Now.
You're talking about. Yeah, Gonna Fly Now. Wasn't that the montage music? Like when he's actually like going at it.
Yes, you're right.
Gonna Fly Now. Yeah, that was such a great song, man.
Awesome.
I didn't know he wrote that. That's cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Sweet, man. So your brothers played, your family was all musical. When did what was your early instrument?
Right. I would definitely say the acoustic guitar.
Okay.
And then, before I started my first band, Shadowfax, I decided to try to play bass. So that's just something I picked up on my own. And I remember
the kid wanted to play.
Right. Yeah. And so I bought a blonde Vantage bass at Paragon Music. Paragon. I don't know if you remember that on
I do.
Street.
I do. Very well.
What was that guy's name? I can't quite think of it, but real nice guy that ran that.
That owned it. Yeah. Right. I knew a couple of people that worked there over the years, but I don't think I ever met the owner.
And I guess to back up just a little bit, that was 10th grade, but going back just a little, 9th grade-ish, still in junior high, that's when I did this barbershop quartet.
Oh, gosh. Wait, I got to check this out, man. Check this out.
Yeah, pull that one up.
Are you talking about it is. You talking about this one?
Yep.
There's Dave Steen sent me a message. That's awesome.
That was Steve Curtis, Dave Jefferson, and Hal Smith. And we had gold chains, and our shirts were unbuttoned all the way. And those were hot pink tuxedo shirts that we rented. And I got the tinted goggle glasses going on. And
is that at Pershing? Is that at Pershing?
Pound Junior High.
Oh, okay. Because it looks a lot like the Pershing photos as well.
Down in the bottom right is Mark Luno. And a lot of the folks know him. I went to junior high and high school with him. He's running sound, and he was a good guy.
This is incredible. Look at the steps. Like, you guys obviously have steps going on.
We were all about choreography.
This reminds me of my dad's band, The Smoke Ring, how they just have these kind of like doo-wop steps. And
we got to talk about that as well.
Really incredible stuff, man. So this is 1978 at Pound Elementary School.
Right.
And how did you get that gig? Do you remember anything about this show?
I think it was the spring program for Pound Junior High, and we had to audition. And if you were selected, you got to perform. And
wow, man almighty. That's incredible. That's incredible. And you've done a really cool thing on your Facebook page. You've kind of listed all of your bands in order. I don't know if you want to go through these photos, or
we
can
sure
kind of
could.
show. So here's the next one. And this one is an unbelievable photo because one of the gentlemen in this photo I just had on episode. Sorry, hold on just a second. I want to make sure I zoom in on this if you guys can see that. Hold on a little more. Let me get this.
We have a famous person in this picture.
Well, and it's funny because hold on, I got to get rid of that Facebook weird bar. Oh no, what happened here? Why is it doing that? Hold on. Okay, let me figure this out. Hold on. I don't want to have this show up. This is really fun. Okay, there we go. I see. I think I zoomed in too much and it didn't like me. Okay, so if anybody can see this photo, the guy on the very far left was in episode 6 of Dishin with Musicians. That's Benji Kushner, if you can believe it. As many of you know, Benji Kushner from Mescal Brothers, Josh Hoyer, to the millions of other groups. Wandermons currently. Yeah, those are the big 3 ones he's currently playing with, but he's played in numerous other acts. But this is hilarious because you sent me this photo and I asked you, I was like, dude, that looks just like a young Ben Kushner. And you were like, that is Ben. I was like, no way. That's incredible. Tell us about this. Tell us about this act here.
That was something we started doing as sophomores at Southeast High School. And so, junior high and high school, I really cranked up the music stuff. Lots of, swing choirs, court choirs, duets. We did this barbershop quartet,
Wow.
And, I was also in this little duet with a lady, and we had a piano player. We did several retirement homes and stuff, as well as the Aces 4. What I'm trying to say is we were trying to be professional. We had business cards and everything, and we would perform at retirement homes and things like that and get paid. And
so you guys made money.
Right. Exactly.
That's incredible.
And that continued all through high school. Our junior and senior high years, we won the Night of Nights, Southeast High School Night of Nights spring program talent show 2 years in a row. So that was really kind of a big deal. And
that's absolutely
we wore different outfits and different songs and really hammed it up and threw out roses to the ladies. And
oh my God,
so fun.
Is there any existing video footage of any of that?
No, but I do have some audio that I will try to get you.
Audio.
Yep.
That's so cool, man. Wow. That is so cool. And yeah, just the era. I can just feel the era, seeping from these photos and just really feel it.
Thank you. Right.
It's pretty neat. This is so funny. I'm actually getting a message from Dave Steen at the moment. So it's really funny. Okay. Well, you tell me, there's just so much really fun stuff here. And then we kind of groove into what
I'll try to
in the 80s, Shadowfax.
Right.
You mentioned earlier.
So right about this time, I'm also playing the trombone. I forgot to mention that. I played a lot of trombone in junior high and a little bit into my first year of high school, and then I quit. But so I got to learn the bass clef. That was really important.
Oh, cool.
And I like I said, I did take a few piano lessons from my mom. I wished I would have taken a few more. I did take some guitar lessons from Paul Berner, like I said, and I also took some professional voice lessons from Rita Stinner. So I did get some pretty good training. I always wish I would have cranked up the theory just a little bit more. I really had to rely on my creativity and playing by ear, which is okay. But, Benjamin is someone I look up to as someone who didn't cut any corners on his theory. But, anyway, Shadowfax was my first rock band, and we had 3 gigs. This was one of them at the, it was this Hawaiian luau at Lincoln Southeast.
Oh my gosh. And so you were getting like hired and paid for these shows throughout grade school, into high school.
Right. I kind of forgot about
early
that.
Entrepreneurs, man.
Thank you. Right. And this was our second gig, actually. The first one was in a kind of an alley behind our drummer's house, Rich Lorenzen. I don't know if you know him, but we did this little block party, and it was so bad, really. I wish I had a recording. I know I did for several years on a cassette, but I just have misplaced it. But we did a lot of like Bad Company. We did, our big song was Riding the Storm Out. And I think we did I think we had a keyboard player for that gig who did the amazing synth part, on that song. And then we did the luau, Hawaiian luau at Southeast. And then we did one more show at Leffler Junior High dance.
Oh, sure.
I think Mike McWilliams, the guitar player, went to that school and knew some people there. So we had three shows, and
How many shows a week? How many shows a month did you guys do?
Well, that's coming up next. I don't know what you have queued up next, but I'm going to blow you away with something here that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, we'll wait on the next slide.
You could probably go up to a special edition if you want.
Let's show this.
Keep the train moving a little bit.
Yeah, look, and you guys, the shorts in this one are just incredible, man.
What not to wear?
And the Mickey Mouse shirt are just the combo of that.
What was I thinking? I don't know.
No, it's hitting hard, man.
You
got to put yourself. You got to put yourself in the era and really understand like what the time and the fashion was like at this era,
The socks, the high top socks. I don't think I'll ever understand. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh man, you're trend setting for sure, right there.
Gosh, I almost need to spend a couple minutes on this era here.
Of course,
it's so crucial. Because I was so fortunate. In 81 to get to know Terry Olson and his older brother TK, the late TK Olson, the late TK. He's the one pictured in the center in the light blue. We lost TK a few years back, but those I can't say enough about TK, the drummer, and Terry, the guitar player. If I could quickly touch on something. Those guys, this is really cool. Terry and TK's, one of their first bands, Mike, was called Sherwood. And it's when they went to Irving Junior High. I mean, they were probably in 7th grade. And it was all because of their parents they gave so much support to them. They had the best equipment. They had a PA, lights, and they would somehow perform. They would do little shows at Irving, in the auditorium, and absolutely blow people away.
Oh my
God.
And
I saw them, and then this is great. Sherwood. For you listeners out there, included guess who on bass? Matthew Sweet.
Oh wow!
Isn't
incredible?
That cool?
That's a neat connection.
They, didn't live too far from each other there.
Right. He was a Lincoln kid. That's right.
He sure
I
was.
always forget that. Yeah.
And
I almost booked Matthew Sweet last year or 2 years ago at Folk and Roots, one of the festivals I do.
Really?
Yeah, and he almost came back. Yeah, we'll try to get him back. Yeah, he still plays a lot around he still famous. So he likes to get back to Lincoln as much as he can. So yeah, we almost had him, and then it just didn't work out. It fell through. So but we'll make it happen.
So it was Sherwood. When I love the name of that band. I think that's the coolest thing ever. And then Sherwood cool. Turned into the cast of players with Ricky Calling, who now tours with Ambrosia and Kenny Loggins.
Nice.
Check out Ricky Calling on the web. You'll just be blown away. Just a super talented guy. Anyway, so it was Ricky, Terry TK, and Jay Bubba Banwell, who I'll bring up in a minute here. Huge force in my life, Jay Banwell. But anyway, the four of them, the cast of players, took off where Sherwood left off. And so the cast of players were blowing everyone away, in their early young career. And then the cast of players.
Was the band, sorry to interrupt. This was the band before. This was the band before Special Edition.
The one I was talking about, correct?
Yes.
So the cast of players turned into Special Edition, the one you see now.
Nice.
So without Jay, and we brought on Mike McWilliams on the far left and the late John Hitz on the far right.
Okay.
So so Special Edition.
Circumstance kind of put you guys together.
But I just can't say enough about Special Edition because again, we had the parents of Terry and TK behind us, and they booked all of our shows. They ran sound and lights. They drove the van.
Wow.
I got to read you this. And before I forget, I got to mention something about Matthew Sweet before we move on to the next band. But I got to read you this. You're just gonna. This is crazy. This is Special Editions. Here's our schedule. Here's what we accomplished in 1981-82 school year. Check this out, Mike. Okay. Here we go. Special Edition. We our first thing we did was we performed at KOLN TV TV studios for this Leopold Drake Calamity Kate show called Kidding Around. It was called Kidding Around.
Right.
And somehow we did several tapings there, and guess what? A lot of them are backed up on YouTube as we speak. So I'm really lucky to have footage of bands that go back to 1981. I mean, and this is TV studio quality. So I'm not saying it's great or anything. It's just I'm just lucky that it's around. And then our next thing we did was at the UNL Coliseum, the old Coliseum. We did this Council of Youth dance, and in this huge Coliseum. So Midwest Sound came in. We rented, we had a huge PA. But here's the deal: we opened for Dash Rip Rock.
Oh,
I don't know if that rings. Now that would be someone to study up on.
So we've got a question here from Brendan Evans. This is a fun one. He says, do I remember that 8x10 from the Dietz Pro Shop wall?
Yep. Oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
Yeah. Are you talking about the Special Edition 8x10? I think he is.
I think he is. Yep.
That's great.
I think you're right. I've completely forgot about that. I love it. So I'll quickly. So after the count, we opened for Dash Rip Rock. Wow, that guy was a crazy front man. Yeah. It's hard to find much info on him, but anyway, that was followed by Lincoln East Homecoming, followed by Columbus High School Homecoming, Bellevue East High School Homecoming, Lincoln Southeast Homecoming, Creighton Prep Christmas Dance, Pius X Pius Christmas Dance, Columbus Lakeview High School Christmas Dance, Moose Lodge Teen Dance, Pius X Turnabout Dance, Meade High School Prom, Osceola High School Prom, Woolbach High School Prom, Central City High School Prom, Lincoln East Prom. And that link, there's a few little clips on YouTube from that East High show. And actually the whole thing was taped, but there's a few clips on there I might have sent you that shows our flash pots that we had. And
yeah.
So here's
you guys had like pyrotechnics. Here's Dash Rip Rock right here.
Well, let's see this. There's a lot of Dash Rip Rocks. Our Dash Rip Rock
was it Larry Purnell? Was that his real name?
That does kind of sound familiar.
Yeah, so Larry Purnell was Dash Rip Rock.
Really?
Yep. And that might be who you're talking about. I mean,
wow.
It looks to me like he's popping up quite a bit.
Interesting.
Larry Pennell, not Purnell. Pennell. Yeah.
Well,
Dash Rip Rock
that is him.
Yeah, man. There's some different Dash Rip Rocks going on. That's funny.
The really crazy thing is that the Olsen brothers, their parents, like I said, they took such good care of us. And the mom, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have this list in front of me. I mean, and this is just for starters. I mean, she recorded and took pictures of every show that we did.
Oh, wow.
And here's the total of what we made 1981, 1982 school year. $8,183.
That's what you made.
That's what we made.
So what happened to all the money? Did you guys split it evenly?
Good question. Now
I'm just curious because that kind of amount of money for kids that age.
And for 1981, I know. So we were getting these paychecks every week. I'd go pick up my paycheck. You know, what did I bought more music stuff with it, you know.
Oh my God.
We were very fortunate, but there was a lot of things taken out, of course. And Judy kept such amazing records. It's hilarious. There's even receipts, how much dinner was when we were in Meade, Nebraska, how much we had to rent a keyboard. We always rented this Rhodes keyboard from Dietz. That was like $750, but it's all there.
Wow.
So,
that's incredible history. And you look around Nebraska, and I guarantee there weren't grade school, high school kids doing what you were doing. That's a special. I mean, my father was playing a lot of bigger shows in like his senior year of high school, senior year of high school, if I remember right, into college, and actually paid his way through college playing shows. But
I want to give a shout out to your dad, Mike Semrad Jr.
He knows
folks,
you. Yeah.
If you folks aren't familiar, Mike's dad, Mike Sr., was in a band called, which I think is a brilliant name, controversial for sure for the time, the Smoke Ring.
I
mean, what a name! That had to raise some eyebrows. I'm sorry,
well,
but
what a fitting for the time period. In the 60s, it was all about smoke this, smoke that, and they were a rowdy bunch. Yeah.
Now I heard they were on an American Bandstand and
correct. Yeah. 1968, 69. Yeah. And had a big hit song late 60s, but they all kind of met up in Norfolk. It kind of, the band itself kind of, blossomed from there. And then the fascinating tale about that band is that it turned into a band called MS Funk, which was short for Muscle Shoals Funk.
Really?
And, yeah. So then they all kind of made their way down south. And at that time, they rolled through a town and picked up, right before the name change, they were still the Smoke Ring. They picked up a guy named Tommy Shaw to play guitar. And
wow.
Then it turned into MS Funk, and then MS Funk turned into what we know as Sticks.
That's a crazy story. Wow. Right. And of course I ran into your dad a few years ago at my old job at the Cornhusker Marriott.
Oh yes.
I worked up on the VP lounge, the concierge lounge on the 10th floor, and
that's hilarious.
And your dad,
he was in there.
He was. And boy, we talked up a storm.
I bet, man.
What a great, talented, nice guy he is, Mike.
Yeah, he's a walking anthology of music. And, I've always followed in his footsteps, because I just love history and I love Nebraska music history specifically. So I even stumble on a few things and I'll text him and ask him something and he'll just send me, 15 emails on this one thing. And it's just fascinating
wow.
I'm very lucky to have that in my life, a walking anthology or a dictionary, I guess, or whatever you want to call it, of information in history.
Gosh, we're so lucky to have you guys. And
yeah, it's pretty cool. This is a fun organization, and I hope we can induct these historic people like yourself and like more bands. And that's the idea, is that we're an official nonprofit, so it's been really cool to kind of put it together as a nonprofit and kind of seep into some other organizations and team up. So, and before the pandemic, we were like ripping and roaring to do a bunch of induction shows. So now it's going to be more live induction shows. So we're very excited about that. But very cool. Anyway, on your journey, now let me get back into this. So here we are, special edition hits. Now, where do we go from here? Look at these pyrotechnics. Oh my God, dude.
Look, check out you can see my tennis shoes from there. I had these spotless white Nikes. And the reason was because I had recently gone to see Queen in concert. So and of course, Freddie Mercury had these Nikes on, and I had to have them.
You were doing this in gymnasiums?
Yep.
Oh my God.
I think we had to have clearance, and we had to have fire extinguishers, and
wow.
Yep. But
that is bonkers.
Had so much fun with those flash pots.
Oh my God.
I forgot about that.
That was your aerial photo.
That was at UNL Student Union Ballroom, and that was the East High prom there. And me jumping around. That's Mike McWilliams on the left, the late TK Olson in the back on drums. You can see, look at TK's hands. Do you see those? Wait, see with those sticks? He's got gloves on.
He's got gloves on. Yeah.
Isn't that I think that's so cool.
Oh, sure. His arm is.
We're about ready to end the song, and he's ready.
Yep. Yeah. That's rad. I love that photo.
And then Terry, his brother, is also up in the air. And then the late John Hitz on the far right on bass. You can kind of see him there. So
that is awesome, man. Very cool. And those Les Pauls that you're playing are probably
that's something I'm so fortunate. The players I've played with have used excellent equipment. Mm-hmm. I'm probably the one who used the crappiest stuff, but everybody else had Les Pauls. And
yeah. I see some of those 70s, 80s Les Pauls. That was like the era to have, like 76 Les Paul, 72. There's really great ups and downs with the Gibson factory, but yeah, some of those 70s Les Pauls are really killer.
Terry has a gold top Les Paul that he still has. And I think that was his first guitar as well. And it is, you got to see him play. We'll come back around to Terry, but
for sure.
So special edition morphed into the cast, which was sort of a play off the cast of players.
Okay.
And now you got Jay Banwell back in the scene. He was one of the original cast of players. So he's back in the scene, and then they got the brother Olsons there, and myself on the right in the back.
So for those that can't read, there's a logo on the bottom that says Applause Attractions, 5609 South 49th Street, and then there's an address and a number. But what was Applause Attractions?
That was our booking agent. Our booking company. Yep. Wow. They got us lots of shows. That's incredible. For a fee, and that they were a big deal back then.
Wow.
So at this point,
what kind of shows were you doing?
Right. I'll tell you each show that we did for the cast. We did another Council of Youth. We played at Larry's Showcase.
Oh yeah.
We talked about that. Larry
we did.
Beamer.
It's Larry Beamer, the guy that had the zoo bar. For a while, he had a thing called Larry Showcase, and he wanted to kind of turn it into a more, I guess some would argue, fancier type setting, maybe a dinner theater type setting scenario, I think, from what I've heard. But it was more of it just never really took off. I think people were really, they were into the zoo bar idea, but he wanted to book some different style of, how he was delivering it to the people. But I don't even know, there's some discussion on where it was. If anybody out there knows where Larry's Showcase was, I think it was on, I want to say 12th Street, but a couple blocks over from where the Zoo Bar is now. But yeah, it'd be nice to see what's there now. I'm not totally sure.
By the way, going back to special edition just for a sec, only regarding, we got to record, actually. My first recording studio experience was with special edition. And I was trying to remember the name of that recording studio when we were talking. And I thought it was located in the, well, anyway, the recording studio was called Spectrum.
Spectrum. Okay.
Yep, the famous Spectrum Studios.
Oh, cool. Okay. Interesting. I'll be darned.
Anyways, and we recorded 3 songs there. We did Crystal Ball by Styx, and we did What I Like About You by the Romantics, and then a song I wrote called Run Around. And I still I have the recording. I just never did we never really did much with it, but cool. Anyway, so then was the cast came along, and we did Council of Youth, Larry Showcase. We did a show at First National Bank, Christmas party. We did a thing at Doane College. We did Osceola prom, Cozad prom. We did this thing called A Touch of Class. It was like this fashion show thing.
Oh, wow.
And then we also got to do another round of recordings at the TV station, like we were talking about for that show called Kidding Around.
You're kidding around. Not many people document all their shows. That's kind of cool that you did that.
Thank you. Let me just tell you what the cast, just to give you an idea of the songs we played at Larry's Showcase, for instance.
Oh, wow.
And this is 1982. We did a song by The Jam, Place I Love. We did songs by The Beat. We did Hang On Sloopy, California Sun, New Cadillac, Baby. Wait, no, that's Brand New Cadillac. I think that was Brand New Cadillac. That should have been. Everyone knows that one. We did some Beatles, Day Tripper.
Sure.
We did Pretty Woman, Last Train to Clarksville, Satisfaction, Hanky Panky, more Beatles. We did some originals. We also did some music by the DBs. That was a big deal. I got to see the DBs in concert. We did Big Brown Eyes by the DBs. And we did some originals too. We also did some Stray Cats. We did
that's not easy material, man. Yeah, that's
Elvis Costello.
Yeah.
I'll be darned. We did that song Baby Talk. We did Suffragette City. We did do-wah-diddy diddy dum diddy do, all kinds of crazy crap. More Beatles. Love Is Like a Rock. Who did that song? Oh,
wow.
God. Oh, well, I'll have to look that one up. But so that, some Romantics. Oh, and that reminds me. So right about.
Oh, Donnie Iris?
Donnie Iris. There you go.
Yeah.
So right about 1982, of course, 1981, 82, MTV came out. So,
sure.
That was just a huge force for me. That really influenced me. I just couldn't believe what I was watching. And, I thought, this is what I got to do. And, I didn't know if I was any good. I still don't, but I knew that that's what I enjoyed doing. And I had a drive and a passion for doing some kind of a band, and
I'll be darned. Wow.
So my look
definitely changed the style of a lot of folks,
Yeah, you can see how the look is starting to change. We're getting a little more new wave.
Yeah.
I kind of got rid of the mullet a little bit. I'm kind of growing out a little bit more of a flop, and we got Bubba J. He was the king of his wardrobe. God, he was like the guitar player for Cheap Trick. He would have all these buttons, and he had a whole collection of these skinny ties and sweaters and crazy colored pants, and so we had a lot of fun. Right.
Rick Nielsen,
So,
all those kind of guys.
And right about here too, 1981, 82, I was going to Southeast High School. I got to meet Matthew Sweet myself.
Cool.
You know, we had mentioned him earlier.
Yeah.
He was a year younger, and I would see him in the hallway, and there he'd be by himself, and he had these Sony Walkman headphones on.
Oh,
and
wow.
I thought that was so state of the art and high tech. And I thought, what? And we kind of got to know each other, and I used to sit by him there and talk to him, and he would play me what he was working on his little 4-track Tascam recorder at home.
Right.
And,
right.
you know, that was another moment that I'll never forget. It was the coolest thing ever. I thought,
wow,
well, how's he doing that? You do it all at the same time? You know, I didn't know anything about tracks or anything, you know. And he invited me over a couple times, and I got to see his little studio in his room, and his Alembic bass, the famous Alembic bass that he played in some of the early bands he was in with Don Holmquist, like the Specs. That would be a really good one to research. Oh,
Donnie
man.
Holmquist. He's the stuff.
Holmquist.
Great drummer.
He is the stuff. So it was great to get to know Matthew because he introduced me to multi-track recording.
No kidding.
And we recorded a song together, and it was called "I'll Kill You." And, yep. And
oh my God!
It was like, if you don't go out with me, I'll kill you. Or it was all in tongue in cheek, Yeah. And but I remember harmonizing. I thought, hey, because that's always been my forte. I'm really good at, I like to harmonize. That's something that comes natural for me. But a big thing that he did, even in the early years, just doubling that lead vocal. So there's 2 instead of 1. It sounds pretty basic to most people, I guess, but that doubling makes such a huge, and it just creates this groovy studio sound that I just couldn't get over, and so that prompted me to get my first Fostex 4-track cassette multi-track recorder. So that was super fun. And
what do we got here? So this is who's this?
Okay. So the cast, after the cast, was New Movement. Yes, good. And New Movement, we kept Bubba J on bass, my good buddy. So you got Bubba in the cast of players, and then he was also in the cast, and now New Movement. And so now TK and Terry are no longer, they're doing other things. So Jay and I continued with New Movement, and we picked up Dan Shoemaker on the far right.
Oh my God!
The infamous Danny Shoemaker. Look at him, there he is.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
And then Will Saws on drums, the guy second to the right.
For those that don't know, that's Phil Shoemaker from Shithook's brother. Yes. And Dan Shoemaker has he's been in some killer bands over the years as well, but very musical family there as well. But yeah, that's so funny.
So about this time, it's such a crucial time for me because I'm trying to think of the year here. I don't know if it says, but that must have been 84. So 83, from the cast to New Movement, I was about 19 years old. So, well, in 83, I was 19. Well, guess what? The drinking age was 19.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So, and even a little before that, I was hanging around the Drumstick, the famous Drumstick bar and grill. At first I was 18. I couldn't get in, but I was hanging around, looking through the glass, seeing, and guess who? Makers famous band, The Boys.
The Boys, yeah.
The Boys.
I was going to show
Phil
this
was on drums, actually. And this is really funny. They were known to wear cod pieces. I think I can say that on here. There's got to be some pictures of them with those things on. They were hilarious.
Well, there's a great poster. If anybody's ever been in Lefty's record store, there's a great poster behind the counter from the Boys and Phil Shoemaker's on drums. And I'm like, oh man, I would love to have that poster. It's such a great poster. And they actually just released a special collection of the Boys' music.
Really?
Yeah. Let me.
And the new name, I think they go by the Boys USA because they had to change it a while back.
Really?
Yeah. Danny would know.
Is it Outrage Records just put out a big box set on that?
I bet that sounds right.
Oh man, I gotta find it. It's so yeah. Somebody said they just put a box set out I think it's Outrage. I could be wrong.
That sounds correct.
I thought it was a recent release though. If anybody out there knows, tap in. Because they had a really huge following locally. I'll find it at some point. But yeah, I know some people said they just released a big box set.
Wow. So it was very cool to turn 19 and to be able to get in to the Drumstick, and I could, and right about then the Boys had turned into, or it had changed, and I might not have all my years correct, but of course the next band was the Movie Eyes with Danny Schoenard, who we were talking about, folks, the great Danny Schoenard, and Terry Piper and Alan Schoenard, I can't think of his last name, and Vito on drums. He was such a big, all those guys. Anyway, I loved the Movie Eyes, and it was so cool to finally get into the Drumstick and watch those guys, as well as other bands. But, I would see them late at night, like at Village Inn. There would be the Movie Eyes smoking cigarettes at Village Inn when you still could, drinking coffee, no food, never any food.
Sure.
And they were, let me tell you, they were skin and bones, which,
oh my God,
I wish I was rock star skinny, it's tough. I don't know how they did it, but so a lot of great memories when I was 19 and 20. And
wow.
Here's New Movement. This was at Walpurgisnacht, Mike. This is a celebration. I don't know if they still do this at the university. Maybe it's a German celebration, and
it was called Purgisnacht.
Walpurgisnacht.
Oh, Walpurgisnacht. Okay, I'm not familiar. Interesting.
And it's too bad you don't really see. It just seems like there's never any people, in the audience on some of these pictures. But we had a really good showing on that. There was lots of people there, and that was a really good show for us. You can see Danny. He would come out in these orange, this one-piece orange jumpsuit, and as you can see, he played out of an orange amp.
Oh, sure.
Orange brand, folks, classic. If you're not familiar with, which is the Black Sabbath used orange brand amplifiers, and they're very distinct. He had another amp on top of that, as you can see, as well as another amplifier in between. So he really had a nice little stack there. Will, the drummer, he's up on a riser, which you just don't see drum risers anymore, Mike. The drumstick had a built-in riser for the drums. Yeah. I always loved that. And by the way, New Movement, we were real lucky to kind of play at a lot of places. We got to play at the Drumstick, so that was just legendary. It is.
For those that don't know, it was a chicken restaurant during the day, and the morning, actually 6 a.m. I believe they started serving chicken again, but it was kind of open all night long. It never really closed, but from I think maybe they closed from 4 in the morning to 6 in the morning. Just to clean the place up because at 10 o'clock it turned into a rock club, and then at 1 o'clock in the morning it just was destroyed, and they had to go in and clean it up. And for those that don't know, it was owned by the Lohmeyer family, and Diane Lohmeyer used to own High Nooners downtown. It was a great sandwich shop. And then the Lohmeyer family kind of married into the Lee's chicken chicken dynasty. I don't know what you want to call it, but they have a name in that too. And one of the Lohmeyer kids works out there. But yeah, it's just incredible.
And another a big moment for New Movement about this time, we got to open for a band called the Tractors.
Oh, cool.
Which was a pretty big name band at the time, and it was an outdoor show at the Broyhill Fountain outdoors.
Oh, wow.
You might have if you maybe go forward on your pictures, you might have it in there. But we were featured. Nope, that's okay. But we were featured in the Daily Nebraskan. That was really a big deal for us, and
nice.
We got to play at the Drumstick. Let's see, New Movement.
Very
okay,
cool. Check
this out. New Movement got to play at the Brickyard.
Oh yeah,
of all places, and we weren't a punk band, so to speak. They
did some rockin' stuff down there, like more hard edge punk rock.
We probably took some flack because we were definitely on the new wave side, but
sure.
But it was still a good show. People were dancing and.
Good.
That
was legendary.
I don't know if the hardcore punks liked us too much, but that's okay.
There's some crossover there.
So playing at the Drumstick and playing at the Brickyard and that Broyhill Fountain were really big moments for New Movement. And then we moved on to Bob Popular.
Oh yeah, check this out. Yeah, Bob Popular.
Bob Popular opened for the Nelsons at the Drumstick, and we also opened for one of my favorite bands at the Drumstick, the Phones from Minneapolis.
Oh wow.
And I just loved the lead singer. If you search the Phones from Minneapolis, there's still you can find stuff from some of their records that they did, and it's cool. I thought it was very cutting edge. He played the saxophone a little bit, but he was a great front man. They were a great band. They came through town quite a bit. And
that is awesome. Wow.
So
check this out. I'm gonna pull this up real quick just because it's fun. Wait, watch this. Here's the Phones. Yeah. You can just see the style. So
Back in Time was one of their songs. Back in Time.
So cool. So that's kind of, check it out.
Oh my!
So this is kind of the era that we're talking about here.
Wow. Yeah. I don't know if I've seen this one.
Yeah. The style, the jackets, the floppy hair.
That move right there, Mike. Oh, God. And the flop. I had to have the flop after meeting him.
You gotta do the flop, man. It's incredible.
I think I kind of look like this guy. I don't know.
Yeah, you kind of do.
Kind of got the pointing nose.
Yeah, right. I was going to say, I thought that was you for a second.
That's so funny. See, he really influenced me.
That's hilarious. Man.
Cool. I saw so many bands at the Drumstick.
Yeah.
I mean, the Chili Peppers, REM, Black Flag, Boys with Toys, the Phones.
Oh my God.
So many other ones too.
Dude.
Wow.
Legendary place.
So Bob Popular had, a handful of gigs. We did a lot of frat gigs, like you saw earlier. We played at Kappa Sig and Phi Gamma Delta, which was my frat, Fiji.
I bet you made some money at those places.
We did.
Probably paid pretty good. Yeah.
So we had this was taken at, now you can see people dancing. This was taken at the Pious Turnabout dance.
Oh, wow.
We got Bubba J on the far left. Dave Ferens was my guitar player on the far right. He worked at Dietz.
Oh, okay.
Does that remember Dave?
It does. Yeah, I know Dave.
Ferens,
yeah.
Great guitar player.
Yeah.
Richard, the mysterious Richard Egger III was our drummer. And I only have about 5 pictures of Bob Popular, and Richard was also in Tom Ficke Group coming up, but he isn't in any of the pictures. And it's just, par for the course because he was such a
Right.
mystery anyway. He didn't show up to one show at Knickerbockers. There we go.
No.
Now there's Richard. Okay. That is like the only, he's the second from the left. That, and I think there's one other picture of him somewhere, but tall, good looking guy, great drummer. I picked him up from this band called Why Not. There he is, far right. He's standing up there with the sunglasses. It was such a character. He played drums for Why Not with Dave Ferens. So I picked up Dave Ferens and Rich Egger from Why Not and brought him with Jay and I. So then after Bob Popular, I moved to Boston, Mike.
Oh yes, that's right. You said you took off to Boston, the big city.
Yep. And I moved in with my buddy Peter Moore, which we'll touch base on later, but huge influence on me. So that's me on the left. I was the bass player for Think Tree. Okay. And Think Tree, we had 4 shows that I was with. Our first show was at a place called She's Leaving Home, a really trendy, cutting edge vegetarian cafe bar that had bands like in the basement, and it was this brand new place, and we were one of the first bands they had. And I think I have a recording of the first song we did, Memory Protect.
What year was this? Tom?
This was about 1987.
Okay.
So we did She's Leaving Home was our first one. Then we did a show at the Channel in Boston. We also played at a place called TT the Bez in Jamaica Plain in Boston there. Wow. TT the Bez. Check that. That's a famous bar. We did, and then the fourth place we played was you're gonna love this, the Ratskeller in Boston, the famous Ratskeller. Yeah, you should research that. And there might be a picture of Think Tree you might have one in there from the Rat.
Was it TT the Bear?
TT the Bears. Yeah, I just kind of put a little accent on it.
Oh, okay. TT the Bears. Okay.
TT the Bears. Yeah.
Legendary spot, looks like.
Oh man.
Dinosaur Jr. played there. Arcade Fire. Oh, they still book bands now. Then it looks
really.
Like.
Now the Rat.
Pixies played there. Cool.
The Rat closed down, unfortunately, but
okay.
A quick, great story I have. Living in Boston, I was walking down the street because I was going to hair school right next door to the Rat at the time. So I was learning to be a cosmetologist at the time.
Oh my!
And so I'm trying a lot, as you can see, lots of different. Actually, my hair looks like I wore it back in '87. Nice. Kind of long, dark. I kind of decided to go back to that look. Anyway, I'm walking down the street, and who do I walk past? Check this out. It's Charlie Burton and the Cutouts.
Oh, no way.
From Lincoln. I'm in Boston.
Nice.
I'm like, what are you guys doing here? He's like, we have a handful of shows lined up. One of them is the Rat. We're going to be at the Rat, a few other places.
I'll be darned.
And we talked a little bit. I think Phil and Charlie was there.
Dave Roble there? Was he in the band at that time?
I don't think. I'm not positive. All 4 members weren't there on the sidewalk when we met. I think it was just Phil and Charlie, as I recall.
Oh, so Phil Shoemaker, yeah, okay.
So I don't know who was on bass or drums, but it was probably like you said.
Yeah. I bet it was Phil Shoemaker. Yeah.
Phil Shoemaker was the guitarist.
Or no, I'm sorry, Dave Roble.
Dave Roble.
Drum. Yeah.
The famous Dave Roble. But so I had a really good time in Boston, and this is par for the course. This will make you laugh. I've never claimed to be a rock star or I've had it's been a very up and down career and hit and miss, mostly miss, but
that's okay. You got some great history though.
Lots of technical difficulties, lots of Spinal Tap moments along the way. Oh God, if we just had more time. But so I left Thinktree. It was 87, 88. Okay. That's a great picture of Thinktree.
Oh, yeah.
Jeff Biegert on drums. Jeff Biegert created something. He was one of the first to somehow trigger his drumsticks to his rack of effects. He would program and assign like a bass drum sound to one stick and a snare drum sound to the other stick, like a really good bass drum and snare drum sound, a sample, I should say.
Sample, sure.
So he would go remote. We're doing our song. Here comes Jeff Biegert. Doom, doom, ch, doom, doom. He's walking around, hitting whatever he wants, the floor.
So his actual stick was doing the sound.
Yes, and he influenced others to follow in his footsteps. Look at what Jeff Biegert is wearing on the right here. The shirt is this tie-dye thing. The pants, there's actually a peace sign painted on his.
Oh my God.
Well, you see the little peace sign, but there's an actual big white thing that he painted on his pants.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So Will Regano on in the back. I love my brother Krishna Venkatesh on keyboard in the far back. Just a character, a super talented guy. I wish I had more time to talk about Krishna. But anyway, you see the guy on the left, that's Will Regano on guitar. Incredible guitar player. And you don't see the singer, my roommate Peter Moore, but you can move on if you want.
Very cool stuff. Thinktree, 87 Boston.
There's me performing at the Ratskeller, the famous Ratskeller. I really like that picture. We brought all these roses and carnations that we bought, and we taped them and hung them all over the stage. And I don't really know why. We were just into crazy stuff and psychedelics and flower power. And
why not, man? That's amazing.
A lot of experimenting was going on back then.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good one of me there in the front. There's Will Regano in the back on guitar. That was at TT the Bears in Jamaica Plain. That is Thinktree, man.
That looks like a fun band. Was it kind of harder rock, or was it?
It was industrial techno type music.
Really?
House kind of just very psychedelic, but very high tech industrial sound. I don't know how else to describe it. We had two keyboard players, but doing full on samples and sequencing. So it was just a wall of sound. It was incredible. There's Peter Moore, the singer in front. I can't say enough about Peter. He influenced me so much. Wow. The guy is just incredibly talented and creative. He's still out in Boston. He currently, Thinktree turned into Count Zero. And you can find Thinktree and Count Zero on YouTube.
Oh, nice.
I made a Thinktree video of one of the songs that I was a part of. I recorded in 3 different studios with Thinktree out around the Boston area.
So it was really active then.
So I'm featured on their first album, 813 is what it's called.
Wow.
And I do a lot of vocals and some bass on that album. So I appear on that album. So what happened, it was time for me to move back to Lincoln. Things had sort of run its course, and I still kind of kick myself, but check this out, Mike. So I leave the band, I move back to Lincoln. Well, guess what? Thinktree gets to go on tour with 9 Inch Nails.
Oh my gosh.
I know. And
incredible.
Isn't that incredible? So they went on a European
so
tour.
They had so they kind of kept doing their thing.
They did.
Nice.
So Think Tree turned into Count Zero.
Okay.
So they're still a vibrant part of the Boston scene. Pete was also a part of the Blue Man Group. So I moved back. Yep.
Oh, no kidding.
He wasn't one of the Blue Men, but he was in the band.
He was probably,
He was one of the first to give a voice to the Blue Man Group.
Nice,
he was a vocalist for the, if you can, isn't that crazy?
I love the Blue Man Group. I actually, my professor in college auditioned for the Blue Man Group, and I was in Stomp for a little bit in New York City, so I was kind of in the performance percussion idea. But I was just a half inch too short to be in the Blue Man Group. Otherwise, I probably
really.
Yeah. So they wanted people that were very distinctly at 5'9", between 5'9" and 6'2", and so it was kind of like this really very specific build, and height was a big deal. Yeah.
I guess I can, it's understandable,
Yeah, because they took off their shoes and drummed with their shoes during the show. So you couldn't add anymore. If you wanted, if the perfect guy came along, you couldn't add more shoe. You just they drummed with it. But yeah, that's awesome, man. Good history. That's very cool.
So I moved back to Lincoln, and I started Tom Ficke Group. It started out as just Tom Ficke, just a little solo act that I put together with some recorded things on my 4-track, and then I would sing and play the drums live, and I don't think it didn't really work out that well, but I think I had my first little show though. I think I have it all on VHS, but I opened for Joel Lampson's group, A1 House of Fun. And I still have the poster from it, but so that was cool. Let me back up just a touch. Right before I started Tom Ficke Group, I was the drummer for a band, a short-lived band called Minds in Turmoil.
Oh wow!
And I was the drummer, and it was the coolest little power trio, man. I don't know their last names, but his name was Jason. He wrote all the songs. He was the guitarist. And then his girlfriend, Rachel, played bass. And I wish I could remember their last names or know what the heck happened to them, because they were such a great duo, bass and guitar couple,
nice.
I guess you could say. And he wrote the songs. It was kind of edgy and punkish, it kind of had a message, and I have a recording of us. Carl Kapishke recorded us through the mixer, the show we did at Duffy's.
Oh, nice. And
I'd love to get that to you. The songs are really good, and the drumming isn't so good. But anyway,
nice.
She comes in with these, background vocals that are very haunting and cool. And I remember she had hurt her eye. And so at the show, she's got this big old patch on her eye. And she's playing the bass and singing her cool vocals. And I can't say enough about that. That was really fun. So anyway, that didn't last. Awesome. And then Tom Ficke, and then ended up as a 2-piece, and then a 3-piece, and then finally a 4-piece. Nice. With Eric Aspengren.
Sure.
Richard Egger and Matt Silcock on guitar.
Yeah, man, those guys are still around. A lot of those guys.
That's a great one.
Eric's a good friend of mine. Yeah, that's funny.
There's the mysterious Richard Egger III on the far right.
That's funny.
I'm in the forefront, and then Eric's in the back, and then Matt is in the middle there. So
great.
Let me tell you quick about Tom Ficke Group. We had a good little run. We played at Knickerbockers and Duffy's and places like that. we entered this song contest to do a Kiss song by the group Kiss, and we did Strutter,
Oh, yeah, of course.
and that was the one we did, and it was held at Homer's Pickles. It had some different names back then. In the about 94, the name might have changed, but it was on the corner of 14th and O there, I believe. Anyway, the record store, Twisters, I should say.
Yeah, Twisters.
There we go.
Right.
So we won the Kiss Off contest, and we got we had an article. We were mentioned in, it was either Spin or Billboard magazine. I still can't remember, but they did a little article on us, and that was very exciting. We won a 8-hour recording session at the Warehouse Studios in Omaha.
Oh, wow.
So Tom Ficke Group got to go to Omaha Warehouse Studio, and that's where I met Eric Medley.
Oh, wow. The great Eric Medley. Yeah.
And we recorded Jezebel. Jezebel was kind of our big song. Down, 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 down.
Yeah.
Just a simple little bass line.
Sure. Did Eric do the session? Did he record you guys?
He did. We did 2 songs out in Omaha, and the other one was called Antenna. That's a rock. I sent you that one. That's a rockin' song.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Eric Medley is probably one of the best Nebraska engineers to ever work in this state. He just passed away not too long ago, and man, he right a week before he passed away, he sent me a track that he mixed of mine, and it was, I'm not even lying, the best thing I've ever recorded. I mean, the way he mixed it was unbelievable, and we had all this discussion about him doing the rest of my record, and he passed away. It was really sad, but what an awesome guy he is. And actually, I got to interview him and Chris Steffen not too long ago, actually, and so I'm glad I documented some of their history, because he's one of Nebraska's best, no doubt.
And then so it was an 8-song cassette that we released. Tom Ficke Group Groove Lab.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I coined that phrase, and that was quite a while ago. I think someone ended up using Groove Lab as something commercial, but I'll have to go and research that. But Groove Lab was our release, and the other 6 songs were recorded at Digital Studios here in Lincoln.
Oh yeah.
The gentleman who used to work at Dietz up in the office, Mike Pardee. Mike Pardee.
Yeah, sure. I've heard his name. Yeah.
He had a little studio in his home called Digital Studios. So we had we did that, and that was a lot of fun. We opened for the Millions at this place called the Hurricane.
The Great Millions. Yeah, they were signed to a major label, Nebraska band. Incredible.
So actually you can go back one quick, Mike, if you could. So after Tom Ficke Group, we went from, it started in 91, and then it went till about, it took little breaks, over the years, but actually, so this is about 96, Tom Ficke Group, and this was at the Zoo Bar, Mike.
Oh, wow, yeah.
This was at the Zoo Bar, man. And that is on the right.
This was before they put the sign up, so I didn't recognize it. Yeah.
Mark Hendricks on the right. He was my guitar player, and Troy Reddick on drums. Okay. So we were a little power trio. Nice. And we opened for the Self-Righteous Brothers.
Oh, God, show. What a great show that was. Yeah, good gig to be on.
Thank you. I'm glad I have that picture. That's about all I have from. But I've done well. I have little recordings and pictures and posters from almost everything I've done, and there's a lot of stuff. But There's a lot of this kind of stuff, folks.
Wow. Yeah, you got everything documented. It's really cool.
So after Tom Ficke Group, we moved to the Formula. There we go.
Yeah.
So that was about 1997. And that's the late Jack Grant on the left.
Cool.
And Jeremy Warner on the right. He played drums. I played bass. The Formula was a great little band. We had one release called After the Chaos, as you can see. It was a 5-song EP that we recorded at Star Trackers.
Oh, yeah.
Brett Holohan, the crazy Brett Holohan. That guy's amazing.
Awesome.
That studio is like walking into a time warp. Y'all.
I know. I just talked to him recently. He was going to help me. He was going to help me mix some old recordings that I.
Is he still open for business?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Cool.
For sure.
Oh, I'd like to. So we did that, and so yeah.
Cool. So that leaves us. Where does that leave us here? So more Formula stuff, and then you've got some Knickerbocker.
Okay. Yep. This is a short-lived band called. So the Formula went from about 97 till about 2000, 2002, maybe. It looks like that's 04 in the bottom right corner. Anyway, I was just going to mention quick the places that I've played leading up to this band. Like I talked about, I've played at the Drumstick, Chesterfields, Bill's Saloon, Green Frog.
Oh my gosh!
How about the Cherry Hut, Mike? Does that ring any bell?
That was I don't know that.
Oh, that was a party spot. I can't remember where it was. Some of our listeners might remember where the Cherry Hut was located. Larry's Showcase.
Yep.
We played at a place called the Aftershock.
Okay.
That and after the show, the owner wouldn't pay us. We chased him down the street for the money.
At the Aftershock.
Yep. I played at Knickerbockers, the Brickyard, Duffy's, the Hurricane, Moose Lodge, Meadowlark Coffee, Vega. Vega was a place I played. It's not there anymore. The Zoo, Slim's, which used to be Shakes, Slim's, which is now Bodegas.
Sure.
I've played in Omaha at the Howard Street Tavern.
Mm-hmm.
I've played at the Ramada Inn, Gray's Keg, the Parthenon, and then a few other ones are more recent. The Parthenon, Soaring Wings, the Boathouse, the Beacon Lounge is a place that the Formula got to play.
Nice. Yeah,
I'm glad I remembered that.
The Beacon. I remember the
Beacon. Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Wow. That's interesting, man. Well, your history is phenomenal. I mean, you've tapped into so many iconic Nebraska locations that we talked about today, and really just, again, you're a piece of this quilt that we keep talking about, and man almighty, this has been really fun, man. This has been really fun. Just a total hop down history lane.
And then, shortly after that, quickly, where we at? Oh, Thread was Jeff Gaskins, the late Jack Grant, and I. We played at Knickerbockers. We have some amazing recordings no one has ever heard. But Jeff Gaskins was a big influence on me on songwriting. He really taught me how to tell a story with my songs.
Nice.
We harmonize so well together. One of these days, I'll try to send you something that Thread. And I always thought that was a cool name, Thread, for a band name. But anyway, thank you. Yeah. So, and then we kind of morphed on, and Harley Graves.
Yep.
So 2010, I started my alter ego, Harley Graves. Oh, go back one if you could. In the background there, you see my good friend Jared Albrico.
yeah,
the
Jared,
blues man Jared. I can't say enough. He would be someone
he's a character.
you really should have on your show.
Yeah, I've talked to him a couple times. I don't know him that well, but yeah, he plays with. I believe he's the current guitarist for Charlie Burton.
For Charlie Burton. There you go. A lot of these things all come back around, and like you said, it's like a web.
Yeah,
it's
all pieced together, man.
It is so
very fun stuff.
Jared and I, we did something at Duffy's. We did something at Meadowlark Coffee. What else? We did a few videos. I've got a great video called Santa Fe Train on my YouTube channel that Tim Ficke produced. Jared and I are on that, folks, if you want to check out Santa Fe Train. But anyway, so Harley Graves started in 2010, and I just kind of laid that to rest in about 2020.
Okay.
2021. I decided to just go back to my regular name, Tom Ficke. Cool. But Harley Graves had a good career. I did an album that Eric Medley produced. Tim Ficke engineered. I'm glad I brought up Harley Graves. I wrote a song called Robber's Cave, Mike, the famous, and I hope some people consider me somewhat of an amateur historian, and Robber's Cave is the perfect example. I love taking a subject like that and just dissecting it. Robber's Cave is something I grew up with. My dad used to go to Robber's Cave as a kid, and I thought, I'm going to write the first song, Robber's Cave. I'd never seen any other songs about it. So Tim Ficke and I recorded Robber's Cave, and it's on my Harley Graves album, which I'll send you. And what I was going to, I was able to get a hold of this guy, Joel Green, who wrote a book about the history of Robber's Cave.
Oh, cool.
Isn't that cool? So Joel came to the studio, Fuse Studio, where Tim Ficke works. And so Tim and I and Joel sat down and talked about Robber's Cave and his book.
Wow.
And so Joel filled in a lot of gaps that I had in my song.
Okay.
So he helped me put in a few more little stories and a few more verses. And that really helped the song come together. So I'm really, really proud of that song.
Yeah.
I'd love to. I need to do a video for that song. And making videos is a big passion of mine. But I consider myself a song builder. My brother coined that phrase for me, and I'm proud of that. I love, and I'm very passionate about the vocation of writing songs, and it's, I like I said, it's been a lot of hit and miss, but some of my songs have really stuck, especially the ones with Tim Ficke and Eric Medley. And big
names. Between those two names, they've worked with hundreds and hundreds of great Nebraska bands.
Two really great memories for Harley Graves. Harley Graves developed into a 4-piece band, and we got to play at the band shell at Antelope Park. Band shell, Mike. And, and it was for a drug and alcohol, related event. And so we got, so it was for a good cause. It was for a great cause. Cool. I hired a video team to videotape the show. And guess who played drums on that? Don Holmquist.
Oh, very cool.
Don Ho on drums. I brought in Terry Olson, my old buddy Terry, came in on guitar, and another gentleman was on bass. I always forget his name. Craig Kingery.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And so we got to play at the band shell. I mean, that was a dream come true. So I wanted I wanted something to remember it. So I hired this crew, God, what's the name of them? You'll laugh if I shouldn't say that, but they did a good job. And, but again, super Spinal Tap moment. The PA goes out.
Oh no.
2 or 3 times. Just when we were getting in full force, bam,
wow.
nothing. So that just really threw off our momentum.
Sure.
But luckily the video, you don't really see that. We captured a few songs pretty well. So
sure.
I'm lucky to have that on YouTube. That was a great moment for Harley Graves. The Robbers Cave, the manager for the restaurant before it closed wanted to use Robbers Cave in a ad. And I was so excited. I thought, wow, finally, something, this is great, and then they went out of business. So
sure.
It's just kind of par for the course.
That was a weird place, I mean, they must have dumped so much money into that spot. Just gorgeous. I mean, it's amazing. And whoever takes it over, I really hope they get back into booking shows there, because it was a really great place to see music. And we actually played there a couple times. I think I played there 2 or 3 times. But it's a neat spot. That's too bad to hear that it went out of business right before that.
The other great memory for Harley Graves for me is I did a solo show in Nebraska City at a place called The Depot. And my good friend Matt Lundak owned that, and it no longer is running, but he made a good run and had some shows, and they had an outdoor area for music. And I was so excited. I got to do an outdoor show in Nebraska City at the Depot.
Yeah.
And it was the coolest. It was everything I could imagine it to be. I brought this crazy PA setup, Mike. I mean, I brought this 100-watt bass amp and my regular little PA, and I was able to feed that bass amp. So it was the sub for my speakers,
Sure.
So it was loud. It was a good solid sound. And Matt, actually, I had to turn down a little, but anyway, so it was just a solo show. So it was acoustic guitar, vocals, and my kick drum. And and I think I hung or laid a mic in the kick drum. So the kick drum is for sure coming through the PA, right?
Oh, wow.
And I mean, I almost cried. I did. I teared up. It sounded so good. I was outside, the wind's blowing. But now check this out. There's a vulture, which I love. It's my spirit animal. Vultures and hawks. There's a vulture riding the thermals right above me. And I'm thinking, God, that is a good sign, for me anyway. And then, and then behind me, Mike, literally 10 feet, 15 feet behind me is the actual Depot railroad tracks. That's why it's called the Depot. So not only are there parked trains along, for scenery, an actual train during my set goes behind me, real slow, and I'm tearing up because
that reminds me of Knuckleheads in Kansas City has a train that goes by. That's cool.
It was a great moment because it the song I was, and Harley Graves was all about folk rock country, and I was kind of the country punk. Someone coined that. I thought I got a kick out of the country punk thing, but so that was a great memory. And then I kind of after that I got the Tom Ficke Group going again with Lance Lehman, my good friend, amazing guitar player. Sean from the Mezcal Brothers was my drummer, and Tim Keckley came on board on bass. So there's been a lot of different members. There we go. So it was Sean from the Mezcals played drums, and Lance on the far right.
Lance Lehman, great guitar player.
Unbelievable, and a good vocalist. So we had some nice harmonies.
That's cool.
We had a good run at the Zoo Bar. I thought we had a few shows where people were dancing, and that's sometimes hard to come by, so we had some good moments there, and
making them move, making them groove, man. That's super cool. I mean, with Domestika,
we did
nonetheless.
some stuff with Domestika, and
oh my God,
we opened for Charlie Burton several times.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
And then, so Tom Ficke Group, it was time, I thought, to change the name. And I went with Alter Kings, ALTER Kings, you know, and into this, and, you know, and anyway, Alter Kings, we've kind of disbanded, Tom Ficke Group, Alter Kings, but we got to do 2 Lincoln Exposed.
Oh, cool.
So I'm really proud of that. We also got to do a Basement Creators Network episode.
Oh yeah,
Mike.
You know, those are really cool. Those guys are doing
good
stuff.
And that's all backed up on YouTube. Yeah. So I'm really, really proud of that. And
that's super cool.
I thought Alter Kings, and I still think it's a good name.
Yeah.
And it, let me tell you, it raised some eyebrows, and it still does.
Cool.
And are you guys a religious band? Not very many people have said that. Just maybe 1 or 2. Most people are like, "Oh, okay, I get it. That's pretty cool." And even if someone does the altar, it's a play on words.
I didn't even think religious at all, so I think you're good.
Yeah, well,
I think you're good. I would stick with that one, man. That's a good one.
It's more, but I do like the spiritual ramification, you know, just it's a great little play on words. And so I hope, I don't know what's going to happen with Alter Kings. We're really not a band anymore, but I hope I can
2020 kind of
make a video, do something, because a lot of people like the Alter Kings. I still get a handful of likes every week. And I just think people kind of dig the name, and I like the name because it's kind of like alter, as in alter yourself, alter your state of mind, alter your scenery. We're the kings of that. You know, I thought that was kind of a cool thing. But so now I went full circle, and I'm just Tom Ficke now. And I've had a good year. I did something at Soaring Wings, a solo with my kick drum guitar. I did something at the Boathouse out at Branched Oak Lake. That was really fun. And I've, you know, I'm still doing some originals, but I've really opened up my genre to, I'm doing a lot of covers now, and songs I grew up with, and songs people recognize. And I think people appreciate that. And it gives people a baseline to, you know, so they kind of know where you're coming from. So when you do your originals, they kind of know where you're coming from a little bit.
Sure. Man almighty, you're full of good stuff, man. I'm going to wrap this up, but this is incredible. Thank you so much, Tom, for being a part of this. And, you know, you're tied into the thread of the Nebraska music community, and, you know, your history's phenomenal. Even starting as a kid, literally as a kid, making money.
My name is Tom Ficke. I love to ride my bike. I ride it up and down the street.
Oh my God, I love it. I love it, man. I love it. Well, thank you so much, brother. And
it's been a pleasure. Man, and thank you, and thank your dad. Thank Mike Sr. for.
Oh, you bet. Big shout out to Pinky.
Thanks for all. I know we kind of went over a little. I apologize.
No, it's totally fine, man. This is good. I think people are tuning. They're still watching, so this is great. But you know, we've got a really cool live stream tomorrow, which is Saturday, May 29th. It starts at 2:00. Check out the Nebraska Performing Arts Hall of Fame page for those of you out there. I'm going to give a quick plug for this really cool event. Because let's see, it's 2 p.m. Central. We got Ronnie Beck, Donnie Beck, and the Rogers family, which are like enormously unbelievable people from the Omaha area that have kind of gone out and done their own things. And it's going to be incredible to dig deep into that onion of history. So make sure to tune in tomorrow at 2:00 for that. But I'm going to say bye to my friend Tom Ficke. Tom, thank you so much for for coming today and giving
Thank
us your
you.
history
It was
and your
my
story.
pleasure.
Man.
It's an honor,
It's
man.
been very
Thank you.
fun. Very fun.
It's been fun to tell my little story. You know, it's
Cool.
a special one, and I'm really lucky and fortunate to work with some amazing people. And
awesome.
So, and you're one of them.
Well, hey, cheers to you, man. Thanks for being on
Cheers,
Dishin
man.
with Musician. It was fun dishing with you, and we'll see you around the way, my friend. All right.
Absolutely. Thank you,
All
Mike.
right. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
Okay, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. That was Dishin with Musicians, episode 7. And don't forget, tomorrow at 2 p.m., we've got a very special stream with the Beck Rogers family. So make sure to tune into that. All right, y'all. This has been very cool. Here's a quick graphic. Let me see if this comes up. There you have it. That's the info on the Nebraska Performing Arts Hall of Fame page. Until then, adios, everybody. We'll see you next time. Cheers to you. Bye-bye. I'm dishing with musicians. I'm dishing with musicians. A talk show about history. I'm dishing with musicians. I'm dishing with musicians. Let's take a stroll down music history.